Njord is one of the most intriguing and multifaceted gods in Norse mythology, associated with the sea, winds, wealth, and prosperity. He is a member of the Vanir, the group of gods known for their connection to nature, fertility, and magic, though he ultimately became part of the Aesir after the gods' famous war and subsequent truce with the Vanir. Njord's story, marked by both his role in Norse society and his complex relationships, showcases the tension between nature's forces, the pursuit of balance, and personal sacrifice. Njord is the son of the sea god, the giantess Skadi, and the sea itself. While many of his attributes are tied to the sea, he is also seen as the god of wind, fire, and wealth, symbolizing the bounty of the oceans and the power of trade and maritime exploration. As a member of the Vanir, Njord plays an important role in their realm, which is often associated with fertility, abundance, and the natural world. The Vanir gods, including Njord, waged a war against the Aesir gods, which marked a critical event in Norse mythology. The Aesir, led by Odin, represented the more warlike and order-focused side of the divine spectrum, while the Vanir were more connected to the land, fertility, and the elements. After a long and destructive war between the two groups of gods, a truce was finally reached, cemented by a complex arrangement of exchange. As part of the peace agreement, Njord, along with his children Freyr and Freya, was sent to live with the Aesir in Asgard, where he became an important deity in the Aesir-Vanir pantheon. Njord's primary role after this transition was as a god of the sea, seafaring, and wealth, but he was also seen as a provider of calm winds, which were essential for the success of the Viking voyages. Through his command of the winds, he enabled the Vikings to sail across vast oceans, engage in trade, and explore distant lands. His presence was vital to the Norse, who depended on maritime travel and prosperity. One of the most famous stories involving Njord is his marriage to the giantess Skadi, a tale that encapsulates themes of compromise, balance, and the tension between two opposing worlds. Skadi, a fierce and independent giantess, came to Asgard seeking revenge after the death of her father, the giant Thjotsi, at the hands of the Aesir gods. Skadi was particularly angered by the gods' role in her father's demise, and she demanded retribution. The gods, however, wished to avoid further conflict and offered Skadi compensation. As part of the settlement, Skadi was allowed to choose a husband from among the Aesir. The condition of the marriage agreement was that Skadi could only choose based on the appearance of the gods' feet, rather than their faces. Skadi, hoping to choose the handsome Balder, selected the god with the most attractive feet. To her dismay, she discovered that the god she had chosen was Njord, the god of the sea, whose feet were indeed pleasing but whose nature was quite different from what Skadi had expected. Despite this initial disappointment, Skadi and Njord agreed to marry, although their relationship soon became marked by incompatible differences. Njord, a god of the sea and coastal lands, loved the calm and warmth of the seaside, preferring the gentle breezes and the life of a coastal god. Skadi, however, was a daughter of the mountains in the cold, harsh realm of Jotunheim. She loved the snow-covered peaks, the cold winds, and the solitude of the mountains. The two gods could not find happiness in each other's environments. After living together for a time, they agreed to live separately, spending 9 nights in Njord's seaside home and then 9 nights in Skadi's mountain dwelling. Skadi could not bear the sounds of the ocean and the crashing of the waves, while Njord found the cold winds of the mountains unbearable. The separation marked the end of their marriage, and they both returned to their respective homes, though they remained on good terms. Despite the end of his marriage to Skadi, Njord remained a prominent figure in Norse mythology. He was the god of the sea, often called upon by sailors and fishermen for favorable winds and good fortune on the waters. His power was seen as essential to the success of Norse exploration, trade, and raiding expeditions. He was also regarded as a protector of wealth, as the sea was a source of great prosperity through fishing, trade, and the discovery of new lands. Njord is often depicted as a god who brings calm and abundance, though he is also a god who must contend with the violent forces of nature. In one of his more famous myths, Njord was associated with the magical ship Skidbladnir, a ship made by the dwarves that could be folded up and carried in a pocket when not in use. Skidbladnir was said to always have favorable winds when set sail, an emblem of Njord's ability to control and direct the forces of nature to benefit his people. This ship became a symbol of the prosperity and success that Njord bestowed upon those who worshipped him. Njord's children, Freyr and Freya, were two of the most beloved gods in Norse mythology. Both were born from his union with the giantess Skadi, and both inherited aspects of his powers. Freyr, the god of fertility, prosperity, and peace, is one of the most important gods in the Viking pantheon. Freya, Njord's daughter, is a goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, as well as a fierce warrior associated with the Valkyries and the afterlife. Freyr and Freya's connection to Njord reflects his role as a god of abundance and fertility. Through them, Njord's influence is felt not only in maritime affairs but in the growth of crops, the success of harvests, and the flourishing of life itself. In Norse mythology, Njord's legacy is as a god of prosperity, maritime wealth, and the delicate balance of nature. His role as a god of the sea and winds was central to the Viking Age, where maritime travel was indispensable. While his marriage to Skadi reflects the tension between opposites, land and sea, warmth and cold, his life and legacy point to the need for harmony and adaptation. As a father to Freyr and Freya, Njord also represents the importance of family and the continued prosperity of the world, even amid challenges. Njord's influence endures in the many stories of the Norse gods, especially as one of the key figures who embodies the forces of nature, the economic importance of the sea, and the necessity of finding balance between opposing worlds. Whether by providing wealth through seafaring or blessing the fields with fertility, Njord stands as a deity who represents the eternal connection between the divine and the natural forces that govern life.